What is up? Welcome to another 5-star edition of Props to Consider and Then Maybe Bet. I am your host, the paragon of virtue, Lou Betya. Didn't get to do the show last week. Real life stuff came up. But if you watch my Friday show, I gave away my props. And most importantly, Zach Cummings versus Ed by God Herman got us the Yambag shot. You're welcome. So we have a 12-fight card this week. Very tricky card, I think, betting-wise. Who better than number one, my motherfucker, Wizz Bets, my Monday football partner, and my dude, and to the show on our channel for the first time, I'm honored to have Trevor, a.k.a. Big Tasty, who I'm going to let him promote all his stuff, and you should be following him. Wiz, I'll start with you. Wiz, no longer Wizz Bets, because now he's big time in us. Wiz, talk to the people. Are you excited about this card? How you feel?
As always, thank you for having me on, and Big Tasty, it's a pleasure, as always. And you know what? I'm actually pretty excited for this card. There's a lot of angles that I actually like from a prop standpoint, which you know me as more of a money line bettor, a parlay bettor. But props, I think there's a lot of really good angles. I do have quite a few listed down, and I'm ready to come with some heat, as I told you. So
I love it.
need
You
need
told
the
me
A game
earlier today,
today.
you're like, I'm bringing the heat. And I'm like, dude, I just hit a plus 2,800 same game parlay in the Bayern game. I'm like, you want to see some heat, son? So, and let me start before we even get to the show. Trevor, Big Tasty, I'd love to say welcome to the show. This is long overdue. I have done your pro football show. For those that do not follow him, absolutely do. Crushes college football, crushes pro football, college basketball. Am I missing a sport?
No, those are the main ones along with UFC. I'm not saying I always crush UFC, but saying that's the other one that I pay attention to and actually bet. So yeah, those are the focus.
Okay, so before we start the show, I want to start with you, Trevor. So you just added an account from Big Tasty to Big Tasty Sports. Tell the people what that account is all about, why they should follow you, like what you're trying to do, what you're covering. Because I know you don't just like do content on YouTube, you do write up sports too. So tell the people like all about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, man, probably not way different from a lot of you guys who are doing good. I'm not good at pimping my stuff, man. I do want to put solid content out there and just wanted to be able to do my own thing. And I really started that account because I was trying to get a little bit more in depth and engagement around some of the write-ups I was doing. I did a lot last year with futures for the NFL, and it was super lucrative. So I'm planning a lot of stuff for NFL futures this year, figuring out how I'm going to do it. So I want to run all that through there and keep my personal account so I can just, fuck around with, talking to people and keep it kind of separate from all the content stuff a little bit.
Yeah, we had a really fun time breaking down the football show. And that leads me into Wizz, because I think the three of us will all at some point be doing work next few months. Wizz, so you just recently changed me and you do so many shows, but now I get to interview you.
Mm-hmm.
You're always the one like interviewing people. Now you're in my. It's like getting a cage with Nicolas
I'm in
Cage.
the Dragon's Den now.
Why am I not in this movie? So you just changed your name. I know why, but for those that don't, tell the people why you changed your name, what you've been up to lately to change it from Wizz Bevs to Wizz Does.
Yeah, so I have found myself stumbling upon the little cracks of the PFL media. And I've been doing media for the PFL over PFL 1 and PFL 3. And as I'm introducing myself, the name Wizz Bets, it's just a little cringy when you're set in the media standpoint. So I needed to get away from the bets aspect with keeping Wizz in the name, because obviously that's how everyone knows me. And I was like, okay, Wizz Does, or we talked about it, but should I just include my first name, like Wizz Madi? And just going over different combinations of names, I stumbled upon Wizz Does because I could be like, okay, Wizz Does betting, Wizz Does interviews, Wizz Does breakdowns, stuff like that. So I finalized it as Wizz does, and here we are. I've been enjoying it.
I love it. So for those of you guys that are watching, like Wizz and I know each other pretty well in the space, and I'm just very happy for his continued success, especially covering PFL and all this. Also, if you're watching this, I told neither one of these dudes I would ask any of these questions because that's the fun of the show, at least for me. But you know what the fun of the show is for the viewers? Props to consider and then maybe bet. So we are going to get right into it. Wizz, I will start with you. There's no order. And also, if you're watching, please hit the like button. Please subscribe
You better.
to the channel. It helps us a lot. Subscribe to Wizz. Subscribe to MB Attack, a.k.a. Big Tasty, as he's labeled. Wizz, start us off. What is your first prop to consider and then maybe bet for UFC Vegas 71?
So I'm going to start off a little bit slower. Let's go
We
with
like that. We like that. It's
yeah.
slow.
It's a slow build-up. I'll save the best one for last. You got to increase that view time somehow. I'm going to go with Francis Marshall by decision. I think in this fight, there's going to be a lot of grappling. That's William Gomey's specialty. And Francis Marshall, I think, is the better wrestler here. And I think there's just going to be a lot of time spent on the mats, which time spent on the mats is going to be a lot of wasted time, a lot of time for transitions. So I think this is just going to eat up the clock. I think Francis Marshall is going to win the fight because he's the better striker, the much better striker. And I think he's a better wrestler as well. So I think he'll take this one by decision. And that plus 195, I like it. Converting that money line from a minus 220, I think it is right now, to a plus 195. I'll take it any day.
I like it. Trevor, you have anything on that fight? Do you have any props involve that fight or at all or no?
So I have not bet any yet. The one that I have been considering, but maybe we'll consider less listening to Wizz, was Marshall by round 2 submission. I like the pace that Marshall puts on, and I think he's going to have the larger advantage on the ground. And just in previous fights, both on the feet and on the ground, I think he really drives toward a finish. I mean, certainly can see it going to decision too. And if it gets to decision, I think it makes a ton of sense for it to be Marshall because I think he's going to have a lot more output, a lot higher pace. So that was the only one I was considering on that fight.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I'm supposed to say I can't trust the French. And I favor the Marshall side, but I don't have a prop on that either. He was so explosive on the Contender Series. He came with a lot of hype, and I believe on that Contender Series fight, like I forget, God, I can't remember the guy's name, but like it was like all first round finishes, and then like it went decision.
Mm-hmm.
I think our buddy Gianni won that one. Tremendous. Yeah. He hit his first over of the season after 19 tries.
Regression.
All right, Big Tasty, what do you got for your first prop?
All right, I'm going to follow in Wizz's footsteps and start slow. Because, when I listen to this show, which I do all the time, of course, I like the build up as well. So I gotta follow in those footsteps.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna go Junior Taffa KO round 1. This is a fight where I certainly can understand looking at either person winning, but one of the things that I like to look at when I'm betting on fights is what I thought about people previously and not letting one fight change my mind. And Muhammad Usman got a win in his last fight, got a KO, but leading into that fight, I didn't think very much of him. And so I'm not going to go and change my mind now. I think Taffa has big punches. Obviously, he's been more of a kickboxer, and so he's making that transition to MMA. How quickly will that happen? We'll see. So this isn't the most confident ever, but I think that this is one of his main paths to victory. So at plus 300, I don't mind it, and that's where I'm starting.
I will say that all the sharp people that like I trust in the community love the Taffa side. I may be talking about this fight later, maybe.
Can't wait.
But I said maybe, but yeah, I don't know about these are the kind of fights that historically have killed me. I do think if you're going to bet it, like that's kind of that's how you have to bet this kind of fight if you have to. Wizz, you like anything on this angle or no on this fight?
I'm actually going with, so I have 2 listed down for this one. So I have the over 1.5 on this fight specifically. And the one that's a little bit juicier is the Usman by decision at plus 300.
Oh, you're
The reason
sick.
why
You're
I
a
like
sick man.
the reason why I like it is because we've seen in the past that Usman, he goes between two different game plans, whether he wants to stand and strike with the person or he just goes full wrestle mode. And he'll wrestle people for 3 rounds, and he's shown it in the past on the regional scene. So I think with a guy like Junior Taffa, obviously he's the much better striker, and they probably game planned for this. But we have not seen anything on the ground game for Junior Taffa, and we have not seen him get past like 7 minutes. So after that 7-minute mark, I think he's just gonna wilt, and I think Muhammad Usman can zap the cardio out of him in the first round with the wrestling, and just cruise his way to a decision here.
All right, so we got 2 different looks in that fight, and then the third look is I am not betting that fucking fight. In all fairness, if I have to bet that fight, I'm gonna bet the top of round 1 KO. And Wizz knows I love a good random decision prop, like, so that's a tricky fight for me. All right, well, enough of this shit, because my lowest prop I have is plus 575. So we're gonna get right into it. I like Kareem Silva sub round 1 plus
I
575.
hate you.
Do you have that one?
That was one of my bigger ones.
But that's what we talk about. Like, that's the point of the show. That's good if 2 of us or maybe 3 of us like it. I would like to say, so I fucking love Cachoeira. Like, I love her. Like, and I've been like weirdly accurate in all her Wizz is gone. He hated the fact. Oh, he's back. I was like, he hated the fact that I picked it.
Yeah,
like,
I was instantly leaving.
Silva's like, for somebody making her debut in the UFC, I actually like her experience. Like, I don't think she's fought just bums on the regional. Like, she's solid, but more importantly, I mean, this is such a weirdly binary fight where if Silva gets her down once, Wiz, since you're going to take this, her prize picks takedowns is 1.5 rounds. Like, you can't take that, can you?
No, trust me.
Because it's going to take 1.
All it's gonna take is 1. We know that Cachoeira has no ground game.
I think if Silva, like my, I'll get into like my strongest bets, like for the card on my other shares, other 19 shares I'm going to do the next 2 days. But there's such a clear path for Silva here that if she gets her down once, it's over. And like, do I think Kareem Silva is as good as Jillian Robertson at submissions? No, but I think she's stronger, and I think she can actually kind of like will herself in. I mean, Cachoeira is done on the ground. Like, so I think if Silva gets her down in the first minute, it's done. Round 1 subs plus 575. That's a crazy number to me because I feel like if she gets 1 takedown, it's done. So, Wiz, I know how you feel about that fight. Trevor, what did you target that one at all here?
I may have one thing I like on that fight.
Yeah,
which I can't get to now. However,
all right.
I will just give you guys this challenge. You may be severely underrating Priscilla Cachoeira's cheating game. If it gets down to the ground, there's no telling what she will pull out of the bag of tricks to find a way back to her feet. Just saying.
She's like Flair. She's basically like Ric Flair. I actually think Cachoeira is a wonderful live bet in this spot. If she survives the first, she's going to be like, I mean, plus 350, plus 300. Like, she's going to be a massive number after 1. And I kind of like it at that point because we've seen she's like, if she can just stand up, she's a beast. But who am I on next? Wiz, go ahead. You're next.
All right. So I was thinking, I know last time out, this man looked very, very bad. He let a lot of people down. I know a lot of people that parlayed him. I know I parlayed him. Mr. Bruno Silva, we're taking him by KO. Plus 205.
No round, no nothing, just
no,
KO.
just KO. Because Brad Tavares is one of those motherfuckers that, with all due respect, he's one of those guys that has the good durability, but if you hit him on the right spot, I feel like he can go down. In that last fight against Duplessis, he was rocked a couple of times, but Duplessis just had no cardio to continue, or else he would have been able to get him out of there. And you look at the Instagram of Bruno Silva, and he has his abs back. He looks like he's motivated again, versus that last fight where he just looked like he was aging horribly, like no sense of like athletic ability. So I think it's a pretty good look here with the KO.
Yeah, I mean, I in all fairness, his KO is his money line, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I think he can win a decision.
Do you really?
By the amount that
Uh-oh.
Tavares got hit against DDP?
Well,
Yeah.
Trevor's giving me thumbs up. You like the Silva decision here?
Yeah, so I'm gonna end up. This is gonna be me giving out my biggest plus money prop of the whole show right now.
We're just
but
discussing
it just
fights. Go ahead.
I will say I had Silva KO and Silva KO 3 written down as things that I was also considering. But then I stumbled across the fact that Silva by split decision is plus 2,500. And Tavares by split decision is plus 800. The way that judging has been going in the UFC, I mean, I know you never know, but the big moments are winning fights for people. So I know that Tavares has output, but I think Silva definitely can have the bigger moments in this fight. And he had one bad fight against GM3, and it's like we all forgot about him. So I bet Bruno Silva. I've thought about the KOs, but I went ahead and put some money on that Silva by split it because at plus 2,500, I just felt like I had to.
Okay, so number one, I love that I've corrupted you to the point where you're even like looking at that kind of shit.
It pays more, man. I've learned from you.
It does pay more. The GM3 fight, like, let's talk about that real quick, like before we move on, because look, I had GM3 round 3 sub because that's like a typical auto bet. But man, Silva looked like he didn't look right. Like you forgive him with the Pereira fight. In fact, like in all fairness, you look back and you're like, oh shit, he went 3 rounds, like decision with Pereira. That's a great result. You also look at Silva's and it's like, oh shit, like this Turman fight, like he just, like his results are so goddamn polarizing and weird that maybe split decision is just the only, like, that's the only thing missing from like hitting the cycle. Like that's the one thing he hasn't done is like 2,500's like, I get out of bed. Lou gets out of bed for plus 2,500. All right. Well, what's your next prop, Trevor? Because now you know. And by the way, you know what I love about this? You and I talk, and like you love the fucking insanity that I am.
Of course.
But like Wizz and I talk a lot too, and Wizz is like, and this is not a knock on you, Wizz. He's like, I like this minus 140 play. I like this. Like me and him talk about soccer, and he's like, I like this minus 120 play. And I'm like, fuck this. Like, dude, I just hit like a plus 2,800 play today. And I'm like, oh yeah, this guy getting carded. And Wizz is like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, and I'm like, I mean, hey, it's, it's what I'm about. Like, different styles for different people. Like, what's funny is Wizz and I agree on like kind of like everything. We agree on like everything. Like basic lines. We're like, yeah, this guy. Like fights, we rarely disagree. But then it's like he must look at these like, what are you doing, dude? Like, why are you adding like this guy to get red carded? And I'm like, wow, he's a dick. And then it happens, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? By the way, if you watched the Bayern game today, everybody got carded. Literally 10 cards.
Royal Rumble.
It was the Royal Rumble. Whoever, I'm like, oh man, I want to take Cancelo. Anybody that I picked to get carded got goddamn carded. Like, I could have done like a 7-legger of cards and like killed it. But all right, anyway, big taste, you're up, my brother.
I want to say one more thing before I give my next one too on that, just on this Silva split. So it is true that you maybe have corrupted me to look for these really wide lines. There's no doubt that I've corrupted. All right, there's no doubt that you've corrupted me. Fine, that's fine. You can take all the credit for that. At the same time, there are plenty of lines that I pass on, and I do go through each fight and try to think through what I think the possible outcomes are and how likely they are. And I just do think plus 2,500 is a really great line on what I see as a possible outcome in that fight.
Hey,
so I do just want to say, not just picking off plus 2,500s.
Hey, man, he had a decision with Pereira that, like, he was competitive. It's not a. I love the process here. It's not a crazy thought to think that, especially coming off getting finished by a submission grappler, that maybe he could be a little more passive. Like, to me, it's not a crazy thought.
Hey, if it hits, it'll be awesome, and if not, we will.
Before you go, like, I ask you to like what you think, but I think the biggest problem that most cappers make, not cappers, well, sorry, the biggest problem crappy cappers make is to assume that nobody learns fight to fight, that nobody gets better. They're like, well, this is the way it's always been. It's like, yeah, but guys like change and improve, and like their fights are different. And Bruno Silva is a perfect example of a guy who every fight he's been in the UFC has been like wildly different. Like, and his results are very unpredictable. So I love that angle, Trevor. Like, I think that's a really good angle. Like, it's a crazy, but it's still your pick for the next fight. That doesn't involve him.
Since I talked about that one so much, I'll be quick.
By the way, I'm gonna hit that bet.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. I'm going to just go Dana Bakary KO1 as well. We'll make it a second KO1 in a row. Definitely, I just think this is what he does. It's a primary way that he wins, and I'm not sold on Brady Hiestand. Like, I think he might be all right, but it's young in his career, and I just think the power is going to be overwhelming right out of the gate in this one. So that's what I'm going with.
All right, we have it at plus 315 according to our chat. Wiz, you got anything to add to that one?
Yeah, unfortunately, that was also on my board. We're aligning on the same exact bet twice now. So if you guys haven't already, I think, do what you want.
I'm just gonna tell you. I'm nervous about something with this fight. I think this is a step down. Like, dude, he just fought Gutierrez and like got leg kicked, and he won the first round. This is a big step down.
Huge.
The only thing I'm nervous about, and I want to get your opinion, Wiz and Trevor, dude, it seems like the whole fucking community is on Bakary this week. And by the way, I know Bert doesn't do content anymore. Hey, Bert, Uncle Lou is here. Let me know. Nobody's saying his name correctly. It's Dana Bakary. For any of you listening, Brady, Wheezy, get it right. I'm just nervous. This is like the community hammer spot. Like, does that make you guys a little nervous when you're like, man?
I've seen it. It's pretty split down the middle, to be honest. Like,
I have seen nobody. You
really?
No, I have.
No,
dude,
I've seen a pretty good share of people on Brady Hiestand on his money line.
Well, I have blocked a lot of people, so I don't know. Trevor, your feed, is it all Dana?
No, it's not. In fact, I would have agreed with Wiz that it's half and half, maybe.
Wow. All right.
How many people have you blocked, Lou?
Apparently
anyone who pronounces Dana's last name wrong, he blocks.
Apparently I've blocked.
I don't dare to pronounce his last name anymore.
Apparently I've blocked. All right, so it's my turn. Well, let's stick with this fucking KO1 trend. You guys are gonna hate this. I'm really excited to hear your opinion because I bet one of you has at least a prop on this. All motherfuckers know where I live. Do all y'all know where I fucking lived? Then you know Jeremiah Wells to bonk Stemblesburger in the first round, plus 650. So, in all disclosure, the only time I ever did the Club and Sub podcast, which was an honor with Luke and my buddy Danny Lags. John Stargarian was not there for that. John and I need to somehow do a show. The internet demands it. It was Wells against Court McGee, and Luke's like, okay, Lou, pick Wells. Tell us why. And I'm like, I can't. I got to pick Court McGee because the dude's indestructible and he just finds a way. And Jeremiah Wells fucked him up, dude, badly. Now, Do I think Wells is like the most technical guy? No. I don't want this 30. He's 36 against him though. Because he's really has sustained no damage in his career. He came in late. So the 36 to me is like, I don't care about that. What I care about is I'm just going to walk this. Give me a second. We got this like Matthews was like this crappy line against Fialho. And Wizz, I think me and you and Trevor, I think we all like were like, this line's stupid. And we all like hit Matthews against Fialho. And like we didn't expect him to like fucking knock him out. But like he was like plus 150, and we're like, dude, this is an awesome line. And then Stemblesburger faces Matthews, and I'm like, this is a terrible line. Stemblesburger, like we're getting recency bias for Matthews, and I think all of us hit Stemblesburger, and he fucking kicked his ass. I sort of think this is
the whole community was on Jake Matthews.
Not well, we weren't.
I know a few people. Me,
Gordo wasn't either.
Gordo, like, Couch Warrior,
and Brady.
Shout out to the boys. We were alone
because Brady was like, "This line's wrong." So look, I'm just playing this chain, and I'm like, man, Stemblesburger's getting a lot of respect, and like, I'm not sure what he does better than Wells here. Like, if this goes to grappling, dude, Wells is like a fucking great wrestler who trains with like Sabatini and Brady. Like, I don't know, man. I know this is like the Twitter fuck war of the week. Give me Jeremiah Wells, round 1 KO plus 650. The only thing I hate about this is like he could easily get a submission. So I may change round 1. I'd love to hear both your thoughts about this fight. If you have a bet on it, a thought, whatever. And I'll stay quiet. Trevor?
I don't have a bet on this, and I probably won't, actually. I think this is going to be a really good fight, and I do think Wells certainly has phenomenal finishing ability. The one thing that I had written down to consider was actually Wells' decision plus 500. The only reason that I wonder about that is if Stemblesburger tries to fight safe because he's trying to be careful of the explosiveness that Wells has, and maybe he puts out less volume than he normally would. And he's been fairly durable in his career. And so that was the only one that I was considering, but I don't think I'll end up with a bet on this one.
All right. Wizz, any thoughts on this fight before we move on?
Fall on my biggest number. We're betting the draw.
Oh, shit.
600.
So how do you see it? Do you see a 10-8 or a bags?
I see a 10-8.
Okay.
Similar to the AJ Fletcher fight. AJ Fletcher goes out there. He absolutely dogs Stemblesburger in the first round. Gets a 10-8 on a couple of the judges' scorecards.
You're breaking up bad. You're breaking up bad, Wizz. Just so you know.
Huh?
You're breaking up bad.
Is it better now? Let me see.
It's like
Am I good?
Are you on Prodigy Internet?
No Prodigy Internet.
Like I see Trevor, no problem. He's moving like a fucking beast. He's moving like a spry 17-year-old. You're moving like Max Headroom, which is I'm now realizing is a reference you will not understand.
Nope.
You're
okay, am I better now?
There you go, a little bit. And
let's do this.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, let me just go off of what I'm going to say first. I'll try and switch to a different Wi-Fi. But yes, Fletcher got them in the first round. You got a 10 on a couple of the judges' scorecards, and then Stemblesburger came up there and took advantage of the gas to AJ Fletcher on the next 2. Now he got gifted the win. I don't know how, but we'll take it. In this matchup, I think it's the same thing. I mean, Jeremiah Wells hasn't to be a gasser at all. But whenever you see a fighter holding muscle, they're gonna slow down. They're gonna fatigue a lot quicker than the leaner guys. So I think it could play out in a similar fashion. I think Jeremiah Wells can knock him down like twice or 3 times in that first round, and then just get fatigued, lose to and that plus 6,600 looks really nice.
All right, Wizz, we heard most of it. You sound like a robot, and I'm here for it. Like, just fix your internet. I'm gonna give Trevor the next pick, and then we'll get back to you. Trevor, by the way, we heard you, Wizz. It just sounded hilariously robotic, and I loved it. Like, literally every word came through, and now he's totally frozen. He's fucking cooked. All right, Trevor. By the way, I don't like that he looks right now. He looks angry at me.
He does. He looks like he's staring you down.
Like that last look, he's like, "Hey, dude, your last Wizz, you were frozen."
Back.
He's back.
No, Wizz, your stream was frozen, like looking at me like, and I'm like, I don't like that. All right, Trevor, you're up. Next prop to consider, sir.
All right, I'm gonna go Carol Hosa by split decision at plus 800. I mean, these greasy women's fights, right? Women's fights. Norma Dumont is just kind of okay. I think Carol Hosa is the better fighter. Everybody's talking about the fact that she's moving up a weight class. I think it could matter a little bit, but I don't think it matters a lot. I think if anything, what it matters for is that she's less likely to get a finish, and I think her output should be better. So I like Hosa to win the fight. Probably decision, fairly close. So let's go split at plus 800.
Well, that's sexy, especially for like one of these maybe somebody will grapple fights. All right, Wizz, next. You got a prop?
Nothing on this one. Nothing on this one.
Wizz, you are here. All right, so I only have how many? Trevor, how many you have left?
Aside
from the main event, how many you have left?
And the yam bags, right?
Clearly.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Clearly. Honestly, I have one other I'm considering, but I've said all of the ones that I felt good about. So
I will give the last one I have considered when we'll get to the main event. I'm gonna, and I hate this in a sense, but I'm gonna play Jared Gordon split decision at plus 1200. Is that the one? Is that the one?
I had it written down. I don't feel great about it, but I had it written down.
So I'll just say this. So Bobby Green, or as my friend Magic MMA would say, I don't know how many Bobby Greens I'm going to bet on this, but if you believe the universe is not like the worst, isn't Jared Gordon like kind of owed a decision win? And also we're talking about Bobby Green, who, aside from his last 3 fights, isn't Bobby Green the king of losing split decisions? I don't know why this is 12 plus. By the way, Bobby Green win by split decision is plus 550. Gordon is like crazy disparity here. I think Jared Gordon, maybe the universe just gives him one, man. Like, he fought Patty. He won that fight. They fucked him in the butt. I mean, he has, and if anybody has grappling upside here, it's him. It's not Bobby Green. Also, last fact, Bobby Green is 4 months removed from getting violently knocked the fuck out, which is always like a red flag. Like, anybody watching this, if you're just money line betting Bobby Green, what are you doing, man? Like, don't. Bobby Green's a great guy to bet at plus 160. At minus 275, you're out of your fucking mind. Like, how do you bet him?
This is a retirement fight, apparently, supposedly.
Whose?
Bobby Green.
Well, right. He had the 60 grand of fucking cash on the goddamn, like a G, which was awesome, by the way.
What he said today is he's retiring from being Bobby Green, and he's just going to go by King now. Yeah. So he's only retiring from being known as Bobby Green.
I mean, look, man, I fucking love Bobby Green, but at minus 275 against anybody, like, I hate it. I think Gordon can win, and like, man, doesn't the universe fucking owe Jared Gordon a win here? Don't they? Like, don't they fucking owe him a win here, man? Your thoughts, boys?
Yeah.
Do they owe him a win?
I do like the Jared Gordon side more than the Bobby Green side, I'll tell you that. You'll not catch me laying minus 275 on a Bobby Green, that's for sure. And I will have no Bobby Greens on this fight. but I do like the split decision look for Jared Gordon.
No
Love it,
Bobby
man.
Greens.
I love Bobby Green, man. I enjoy watching him fight. I've liked him since I first saw him, but the way he fights with his hands down, getting knocked out 4 months ago, getting older, and you bring the universe into it. What are you going to do? So I agree that if I'm going to take a side here, it's going to be Gordon.
All right. Well, Big Tasty, if you got one more left, let's go. Because we got Wizz to tell us where we're wrong. If you got one more for the show before we get to the main event, let me know.
Do you want one that I don't really like that much? Because that's all I have left written down.
Not really.
You give one, I'll give one.
All right. My one I don't like very much is Ricky Glenn round 3 plus 1400. Yago's.
By the way, KO's plus 1800, sir.
Oh, hey, there we go.
KO is. Go ahead, tell us why. Because I have it written down, dude.
Because he could keep up some kind of pace on him, and Yago's gasses out. Just Glenn's not a finisher, so I don't know if he can put him away even in the 3rd round with him gassed. I think it's possible he could get put away in the 1st round, but at the price, it's something that I can legitimately see happening here. Like, I think Glenn wins round 3 or decision if he wins. So at plus 1400 or 1800 for KO3, that just seems like a good line for the possible outcomes here.
Yeah, I have him plus 1800. Wizz, how about Wizz? What are your thoughts on that fight? And then we'll move to the main event.
I refuse to tape that fight.
I think
to tape that fight, dude. I did not want to put myself through mental frying my brain, for lack of better words. I don't want to do that. So no.
I actually think Thiago can win the first 2 rounds and then
fall off a cliff.
And then somehow die. He's actually a really interesting DraftKings play. But anyway.
Accurate.
All right, Wizz, let's get to the main event. Your thoughts, your best bet, your interesting play here. And by the way, I don't even need typically on the show, it's just the best bet on the main event, but I feel like any best bet here is kind of a prop. Maybe I'm wrong. Wizz, what do you got?
Hell yeah. So I'm gonna break it down real quick. So I think Blaydes, if he's smart, he'll go to the wrestling early. Obviously, Pavlovich has that round 1 KO possibility, which he's been winning his fights with over the past 7 fights, and yada yada yada. We know that Curtis Blaydes has been a lot more comfortable with his striking. He's fallen in love with it a lot more recently, especially after that last knockout win against Dacus. So it's something that you're not too excited to see going up against Pavlovich. I hope he doesn't stay on the feet. I think Blaydes is the proper moneyline side here as long as he can get him to the ground, because once he gets him down to the ground, I think shortly after it's going to be a good night for Pavlovich, whether it's a sub or a knockout. I'm assuming it's going to be a ground and pound with the elbows. So I like the round 1 option for Blaydes, covering both the submission and the knockout at plus 325. And I like the round 2 at plus 450. And then the under 1.5 obviously is a community play. You see everyone on it. Everyone and their mom's on the under 1.5. So yeah, I like that too.
All right, Trevor, go ahead. I actually have a thought on that under 1.5, but go ahead.
Man, I don't have a ton to add. I mean, I think that it's pretty unanimous the way people are talking about this fight going, and maybe Lou can drop something, new and a bombshell on us, but I see it kind of the same. I actually was looking at Pavlovich and Pavlovich props, but the thing that changed my mind is when I started thinking about the ways that these guys can win the fight. And I think Blaydes can actually be somewhat competitive on the feet if he doesn't get knocked out. I mean, that's the thing, is Pavlovich has such big power, but then he has the clear path of taking him down too. And so I just see Blaydes as having a lot more that he can do well, even though I have a ton of respect for, how could you not, for Pavlovich's power, and absolutely he could put him out. So I don't think it's a big enough line, because it's only plus 140 Blaydes and under 1.5. So I do like that. I think that's decent value. The other one I looked at is under half a round at plus 300. I mean, at half a round, it's somewhat iffy, but you're getting plus 300 instead of laying juice. So that's the other one I looked at.
Yeah. So I actually not only favor Blaydes, but I think an interesting prop here, and which I didn't price out, is the Blaydes and over 1.5, because Blaydes is not known as like he's not a finisher. Like, and we all know this. And I feel like this community under 1.5 is like they're assuming that Blaydes just dies on the ground, which I think is it's kind of strange to me because I don't know. Like, I mean, when has Blaydes ever shown this urgency on the ground? So Blaydes and over 1.5 is plus 200. That's kind of an interesting play. Pavlovich KO 1 is 330. Like, that's his win condition. Like, I mean, if this thing either he knocks him out in 10 seconds. Also, like, Wizz, you're a big prize picks guy. I haven't seen any Pavlovich strikes stats, but the most strikes he's ever landed in a fight is 22 or 23. So if you get under that, I think either way, like, he either gets taken down and throws none, or there's no way Blaydes is sustaining 23 strikes here. So I don't know. It's an interesting main event. This community under is, disturbing. But let's get to the best part of the show. It's time. And if you're still watching, hit that like button. Follow Wizz Does on Twitter. Follow NB Attack and Big Tasty Sports, since he has Dose accounts. Dose. That's 2. Because I'm cultured. I speak multiple languages. I have a wheel of cheese and my bookcase smells of mahogany. You bitches know what that was. Wizz, yam bag us. Tell us yam bags and why.
I'm going to have to go with clam bags.
Yes!
Carol Rosa against Norma Dumont.
Oh, that's not even the one that's not even the right clam bag, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Sad.
I think so first of all, you have Carol Rosa going up a division. Go out division. Oh yeah, weight class. Division, weight class, you know what I mean. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of grappling attempts here by Norma Dumont. And the way she enters in, the way she wrestles is not really good. And she tends to commit a couple fouls on the way up when they're wrestling. There's a lot of eye pokes when it comes to Norma Dumont, the possible pokes that I see. And I think this can repeat itself a couple of times, especially when she starts to get tired as the fight goes on. So, yeah, that's the way I look at it. And Carol Rosa in the striking, obviously she's going to be the faster woman. If by accident, not being used to this weight class, she overthrows a punch, leaves a finger out there, another eye poke situation, I'll take it there. Give me clam bags.
Love it. Trevor?
I love it. And I'm going to go ahead and take the obvious clam bags. I mean, I just have to. And that's Silva and Cachoiera. I told Lou earlier this week, the only thing that I wish, and I'm asking DraftKings right now, or somebody, whichever book wants to do it, to give us double clam bags in a single fight. Give me odds on 2-point deductions in the same fight. I want something good on that because Cachoiera can't help herself, man. There's opportunities for points to be taken every second that she's in a fight because she's going to be cheating somehow. So it's almost an automatic for me in a Priscilla Cachoiera fight.
Yeah, I really wanted to pick that one. Like, I really did. So ultimately, I set it on Gomez and Marshall, and I have 2 reasons. One is lefty versus righty, and the other one is, I mean, Marshall looks good. He's still 7 fights as a professional. He's still, like, raw. Gomez, dude, I don't know fucking shit about him, man. Like, the Jarno Aarons fight, when I taped him, I'm like, he's fighting, like, low-level regional dudes. I mean, Jarno Aarons is, like, a low-level regional dude. And he kind of, like, struggled, and he was all right. And the one thing I like about Marshall is Marshall, like, looks like his gas tank's really good. Like, I'm not convinced. I don't know about Marshall's ceiling, but one thing I love about, like, he's one of these prospects, at least, like, He didn't even look great in the Contender Series, but his gas tank looks good. And when you see dudes tire, especially in wrestling, especially with switch stances, you see some weird shit. There are some stray strikes, and I don't know, man. I don't love it this week. Like Ed Herman last week, I was like, load the fucking bank on the Vegas Dave max whale bet on the Yam bags there, and you'd be retired. I don't love it this week, but I will still do it. But 2 clam bag shots for the culture from my peeps and the Gomey one. That is it for props to consider. I would like to thank my guests. Wizz, last chance to pimp yourself, promote yourself, however it's called.
I can only pimp myself with the glasses.
Trevor, you got glasses? If we're doing glasses, I'm just gonna,
Need it.
There you go. There we go.
There you go. Yeah, so it's at Wizz Does now on Twitter and YouTube. Instagram is WizzXMadi. I know you're not gonna.
You're breaking up again, dude.
It's a nice still shot, though.
He totally broke up again. That's a great. Trevor, you want to go?
Sure, I can. Yeah, man. So
I'm taking my glasses off. Maybe this is I don't want to get framed.
I don't have any glasses.
No, I don't want to
get.
Have any, it's back. Wiz, all right, Wiz is back. Wiz, we'll get back to you. Trevor, go ahead. Tell the people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'd just say, if people want to follow me at NBA Attack, my Big Tasty Sports account is not hopping right now, just because it's a little bit of a downtime for me. I don't do as much with baseball, unlike at Wizz Does, who crushes it. But as we get back toward football, and I am doing some UFC, but there will be a lot more as we get back toward that, and hopefully that'll be worth your while. So if you follow me, I'll be tweeting that out as we get closer. And I also do just want to say thanks so much, Lou, for having me on. I love listening to you, so getting to be on your show is a huge privilege. And Wizz, awesome to get to do it with you as well. You guys are both amazing, and so it's been a privilege to be on.
Well, that's very, as Nick Cage would say, as Andy Samberg imitating Nick Cage would say, that's very kind of you. I am excited that I had both of you on, because I feel like when we get to the college football and NFL season, the 3 of us will be doing work. We would have had you on for the Super Bowl show. I think schedules conflicted. Instead, I had my fucking douchey fucking friend Pat on that I drink with every week. And he's like, what's up, hoes? He made me look great. He's like, this guy. He's like, you guys think he's a fucking bro? But I had a great time. I love both you guys. Look, I've worked with both you guys before. We talk all the time. Thank you so much. And literally go follow both these guys, dude. And I'm gonna pimp Trevor a little more than you, Wiz, because you fucking everybody knows about you. I think I think everybody knows about you a little more. But dude, Trevor's college basketball shit, especially this year, I was like, I don't know how the fuck to bet the tournament, and it turns out he didn't either. But
that's very true.
but it turns out he didn't, because no one knew how to fucking bet the tournament this year. But his write-ups were really good. He picked a lot of dogs. I think me and him were big on Furman. Dude, we smashed Furman early. Dude, I hit Furman. I'm like, oh shit, this could be a good tournament. And then it was Friday, and I'm like, nope, nah, it's going back to I miss the days when Syracuse is in, and I can just blindly bet them. Guys, if you're watching, be safe this weekend. Protect your bags. I'll be back next week I have no idea who my fucking guests are next week. Oh, Chronic Combat are my guests next week. Yes.
Voice.
Chronic Combat. My guys. So fuck you, Manny. See you next week for another episode of Props Consider, and then maybe bet. Take care.